host, TDN, the designated bird boy, as the Raven dreams, as the Raven dreams. Hello, and welcome to the TheDarkNest podcast. I'm your host, TDN, and today I'm joined by our designated bird boy as the Raven dreams.
Hello, I'm As the Raven Dreams.
And today we have a very special guest. He's a big voice in the horror community, a legend in my eyes, and the most humble, selfless dude you'll ever meet. He's the creator of the Dark Swamp Entertainment, a loyal client, and a good friend of mine. Please welcome to the show, Swamp Dweller.
Thanks for having me, bro. What an introduction to follow.
I mean,
you make me sound like such a good guy.
I think you are, personally. I mean, all memes and trolls aside, like, you're definitely one of the best people to come to when it comes to starting out or just asking for advice. And you're, at least in my perspective, always willing to give it to people who genuinely need it. And it's always good stuff. I mean, you've been around long enough and you're big enough and you have so many networks that it makes sense to ask you for those, you know, that type of advice. And you've always helped me and a bunch of other people with that stuff. So yeah, I think you're a good dude. I mean, it's whether or not I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, dude. I just try to treat people like I want to be treated, you know, the whole basic stuff we learn as kids and, you know, everybody, we're just people, dude. I don't really believe in the whole, like, crazy internet ego clout thing. I just think it's weird. It's just like, I don't know, dude. If I was like maybe like one of those people, if I walked outside and everybody was like, oh my God, it's Swamp Dweller, maybe, but like that's not a thing. I don't walk into a crowd and people are like, oh my God,
that's how people act online though. That's how it is when like ever you pop into a chat or in your streams or on Twitter. That's how it seems. So at least you got it on the internet side. And you still remain humble. I mean, there's been people who have been closeted inside their rooms, making millions of dollars and having millions of subscribers, and they never leave the house, but their ego is still massive. So, internet ego is still a thing, and you don't even come close to it.
I'm also an introvert. I just really don't want people to notice me. I'd rather people I'm just like, I'd rather just be like, I'm not really like I don't mind making friends and stuff like that, but I'm not really the guy that like goes out to the bar to be in the crowd. I'd rather be like on the other edge, kind of alone, you know, chilling. Like I'm not really trying to be like in the mix of it. So if people come up to me like, oh, Swamp Dweller, I'm like, man, I gotta move cities. I gotta leave. Like,
If I ever get recognized, I'm leaving the state.
I'll be like, come to the house, homie. I got enough guns. It's fine. I'm good. Show up on my doorstep, you're dead. That's all I'm saying.
Why are you threatening people for recognizing you, dude?
I'm just saying, don't come to my doorstep. It's fine if you see me in public and you're like, hey, but like, don't come to my doorstep, bro. You're gonna die.
Wow, are you TDN? If I ever see you again, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Okay.
No, it's not even that. I just immediately pull out a pistol and shoot them in the face.
Jesus, dude.
No, it's it's understandable though. Like I'm not talking about like if I see someone on the street and they recognize me. I'm talking about like if I wake up one day to a knock at my door and I open the door and they're like, holy shit, TDN, you're dead. Sorry.
What? Well, so it could just be like an Amazon driver that just happened to know you're dead.
I just happened to put TDN on the like the delivery thing, which has happened. The amount of times I've gone to Chick-fil-A to pick up a fucking order and I forget that my Google is attached with TDN as my name. So every time I go to Chick-fil-A or somewhere else with my Google account attached to the payment, I'll go to Jersey. It happens at Jersey Mike's all the fucking time, and they'll call out TDN, and I'm like, that's not supposed to be there. Or I'll go and I don't see my name on the bags, and I'm like, these motherfuckers have taken an hour. I ordered my sandwich an hour ago. What the fuck? And I go and I finally take a look at the bags and it says TDN on it. And I'm like, that's why.
Feels bad, man.
I wouldn't kill somebody as soon as they said my fucking alias to my face in my front door, but you wouldn't question as soon as you open your door and someone's like, Swamp Dweller.
I don't know. People accidentally send packages with that name all the time, and so many business things come here. At this point, I'm just like, whatever.
The funny part
But,
is I did too. When I sent you the Oculus, I think I put your first name and then Dweller at the back of it. You're like, why? Why did you do that? It's like you could have just.
Like, I guess that's the way you could have done it.
Well, didn't you say I should have just sent it as like Swamp Dweller so you can like put it on your taxes or whatever?
No, it's just easier because like if you do like not all the time, but there's a lot of times where like if you send packages with like a faux alias or something, like they won't deliver it.
Oh.
So because they can't verify the address and all that BS, and it's just like
I just wanted it to be funny.
And your joke could have gone wrong, bro.
I could have died.
You could have been on the next episode of The Dark Side of YouTube with those actions, boy.
I'm not big enough. There's no way. I haven't had that.
Watch it. I mean, if you open your door and you just blammy whoever happens to play TDN, you're probably gonna end up on
Your
season 4.
6.
You know.
Oh, sorry, season 4.
Page
He's
is already
thinking
right.
Season 4, episode 12. We really got it in the pipeline. We gave you some time, bro. You got a few.
Paige has had that
years.
script since before I became the host of The Dark Side of Gaming. It's okay. I know.
I bet you Paige would probably know the insides and outs of it. So every time we're like working on a case, she's like, "Yeah, I already know everything." I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, all right.
She's like, "I know I can tell you his social security number, his blood type, dude. I know everything." No, seriously though, the shit that Paige puts in her scripts is like it's heavily researched. There's shit like you wouldn't find on surface level. You can tell she's doing her job. It's very well done.
Yeah, definitely.
For people who don't know what we're talking about, Paige Turner is the main writer on The Dark Side of YouTube and The Dark Side of Gaming, which we can talk about now. For those of you who don't know, we're on season 2 of a show called The Dark Side of Gaming, which is they're both produced by Swamp Dweller. This one is exactly what it sounds like. Anything that has to do with true crime or just lore connected that's dark of games. That's pretty much all we do. We have Darek Weber as the co-host and myself who handles the lore-based stuff, and Darek handles the true crime stuff. And we have The Dark Side of YouTube, which Swamp will have to talk about because I literally know nothing about, because that's all you and the other part of the team.
Yeah, The Dark Side of YouTube is kind of just, I guess like you say, like a sister podcast to The Dark Side of Gaming, kind of just going more into like a true crime rabbit hole direction, and covering, YouTube, as the name says, and kind of just internet personalities at a wider glance, but mainly focusing on YouTube just because there's like never ending amounts of BS going on here at all times. So
Yeah.
It's kind of seems like a good topic that wouldn't run dry anytime soon. And really, it's hosted by Autumn Ivy. Paige is our main writer. Sinister Dark Soul writes some stuff. We've had a lot of writers over there. TJ Lee from the No Sleep podcast. Who else is over there? I think that's about it at this point. But there's a lot of people coming in and out. We got Joey, of course, Joey Sorless on both podcasts doing the sound design.
Which he does a fucking fantastic job for the sound design. It sounds more budget. Well, it sounds like we have more budget than we do. Like,
oh yeah, he definitely makes us sound a lot better than we are.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's like our budget is very, very tiny, and what we produce with that budget, in my opinion, is like, it's fantastic. I love the show. I love being a part of the show. It's one of my favorite things that I've ever done creatively. The scripts are awesome, like especially the ones that I get, because I get all the lore stuff. Because the whole thing with me and Darek is very good at putting in the passion for the true crime stuff, because that's what he likes, and I'm a very heavy I'm gamer heavy, so um, the lore stuff is usually stuck with me, and I love that, and I get so passionate about it. And I think you can hear it, especially. I don't know if you listened to the audio I sent you last night, but I think when I do the lore stuff, that's definitely where like I bring that stuff out better than the true crime stuff on my end. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah, definitely. And it works out. I mean, the whole dark side of gaming season 1 was an interesting kind of thing anyway, where we had TDN for half the season and then Derek kind of came in half the season and then, just because it made sense, we just kind of said why not just
Have both.
alternating,
I mean,
keep
we
it
talked
going.
about having two hosts at the beginning of the show, like before we even made it, because it was me and somebody else back then
I
that
don't even remember at this
I
point,
don't
but
even
yeah,
remember who it
so
was, but it was like there was talks about maybe occasionally having someone else, or if we did have a second host, like I think we wanted it like on the same episode, but one would talk about true crime and one would talk about. I couldn't even imagine how we would make that possible if we were to do that. Um,
oh yeah, man. I don't know. I was
we were
really
talking
inspired
about
by
it.
a
It
lot of
just wasn't good. I don't know.
I was
We talked-
heavily inspired by like a lot of Parcast podcasts at the time. So like a lot of like those true crime ones that you hear on like Spotify where they have like they have like these weird host combos where like there's this show where it's like this old lady and like this younger guy and it makes no sense but it works. But so like that was kind of like what was running in my brain and I was like, well, I got to do something like this. I want to do something with these podcast stuff. So I was like, shoot, how do I so Dark Side of Gaming was kind of like that. I don't even know why gaming is what I went to. It just happened. But
because
like
you're not that heavy of a gamer, right? Like you don't like. I mean, at least when you created it, you weren't like super gamer heavy.
I've definitely gotten more into games since creating it. But yeah, I've always just been a filthy casual. But like I'm a sponge for fun facts, honestly. Like I just love fun facts and I know like a disturbingly I know like just like an iceberg of wealth of information about things and I've never like played the game. So like the Silent Hill PT, I knew all of that stuff, but I've never even touched that game before.
I mean, it
I've
makes
never
sense
I've
why you
never
wouldn't touch it. Like most people, I don't think I've ever played it because of how
yeah, there's
scarce
tons
that
of
shit
things
was.
that I have all this info about that I've never even actually done myself, but for some reason I just somehow fell down a podcast and heard a bunch of stuff about it. So I was like, I don't know, I know all these interesting topics about this and just gaming tied in a lot to like creepypasta world too. So it just worked out, especially like ARGs and all that. I kind of just was like, I don't know, my mind was working. I was like, this seems like an easy way to try to start this out.
I feel like when you said I could do it, it was like all those years of staying up till 3 in the morning watching creepy gaming Easter eggs until the fucking sun came up was it finally paid off like somehow because I all the shit that we're doing right now, like season 1, it was a little bit like there was stuff I hadn't heard of, and there was stuff I had heard of, like Voices in the Static with Far Cry I'd never heard of, um, but a lot of stuff this season that I'm covering I'm a huge fan of, especially the Easter egg one we did a week or two ago. I loved that episode. I know it like didn't do that well, but I loved doing it. I had so much fun doing it because all of the Easter eggs I remember when I was like however old the games were. Like I remember when I was 10 and 15 playing those games and discovering those Easter eggs for myself. So actually talking about them, I was like, oh, I know this. It was awesome. But yeah, I love the show. It's great. I'm having so much fun with it, and it's coming to a close soon, guys. This season, we got what 3 episodes left?
See, we're 15 episodes in, so we got 5 episodes left.
5?
Yeah, there's 10 episodes per season.
What?
There was 10 episodes in season 1, was there not?
Yeah, but I'm just going off of the fact of like the pre-recorded stuff because we only have 3 things. I thought.
No, we have well, we only like we're very ahead when it comes to scripting right now. So it might seem like we're further than we are in the season, but this is just because since we've done this show, we've never been ahead. So
Oh,
no,
okay.
we're just ahead on episodes.
Never
Yeah.
mind.
So
We have a bunch of episodes left. Never mind. I thought it was coming to
it's
close.
probably
I was
like
like, oh, there's like 3 episodes left. It's coming to close
at
anyways.
least we have at least like a month and a half of content still coming.
Okay. Well, that's good. And the one I recorded last night, I'm very excited for people to hear. It's the first time I think in the entirety of the show where I really try to add proper amounts of personality to it. I always just kind of read it as a script as best I could as like a host. But after listening to how Autumn Ivy does her stuff, I was just like, maybe I should be putting more personality into it because the way her inflictions, it just makes it feel more personal. So I was like, maybe, I mean, let's learn from the show that just started and is infinitely doing better than ours.
Dude, that's how it goes, dude. It was the perfect storm for the dark side of
I
YouTube.
mean,
And
well, it was on front
honestly,
page of Amazon Music, like second
yeah, like
day.
literally the day I was like, wait, I woke up and I had like a notification. I was like, wait, what's this? In this email, and I'm like, wait, what? It was like, why is this a thing? But I was like, all right, cool. But honestly, that's all because of what I learned from the dark side of gaming. I mean, there was a lot to learn in season 1, and this is really just the beginning of my own podcast network. So I mean, comparatively, it's like we really can't compare ourselves to like other networks out there. But when we do, I feel like we're not doing that bad, and we've been praised heavily by a lot of those other networks. And because I keep in touch and I talk and I try to, obviously try to learn from them and try to figure out how I can grow these shows to be more profitable. So not only am I not just throwing money in a hole, but I can also pay my crew more and help everybody grow in general. But yeah, like the dark side of YouTube is really just it's been an insane little thing there. So I'm definitely excited to see how season 3 of Dark Side of Gaming comes because I have a lot of new little tips and tricks I can apply.
I'm excited about season 3. There's talks about some topics that I'm excited about, specifically the one you kept bashing the other day, but it's okay.
We have a lot coming on the Dark Side of Gaming. We have
I'm
like
very excited about it.
what as I was telling you in the group chat the other day, we have a couple people I'm going to be doing meetings with this week that are really going to transform the show topic wise and push us
Nice.
into a much. It's going to help us get to that echelon to where like the dark side of YouTube is seemingly kind of started off at.
Well, whatever happens with the show and like the future of it, I'm very excited to be a part of it. I mean, there's nothing like it for me. I've never done anything like this. I mean, I'm sitting on a script right now for sure, but it's cool. It's like the coolest experience I've ever like the I've never had a team to work with. I think that's the thing. It's always just been like, you need something, I got it. Here you go. There it is. Now it's like someone else has something. I'm required to then put my own spin on it with my vocals, and then someone else is supposed to take it and make it sound good, and then it gets and then it goes out there. There's like a chain, and I've never been a part of that before, at least creatively. So
Yeah, man, teamwork makes the dream work for sure. And
I love our
I
little team.
really
I love them.
I really believe in like just keeping, good people who work hard and have good hearts, and just keeping them all close to you. Because in my experience, there's a lot of people who don't have your best intentions in their mind, and they just want to obviously do whatever they can do. You're another rung on the ladder,
Yeah.
and they're just gonna step on you and get to the next level. And I'm very much not that kind of person. I feel like you don't need to be that kind of person to be successful, and I think I've proven that. So I feel like, I want to obviously try to extend my platform out there and bring in, good people. So when we're working on these projects, it's not going to end up being a nightmare. And I feel like, everything we learned from season 1 and all the debacles of that, we have not only learned from, but have just in leap and bounds jumped forward with. And now the team is it's much more solid. There's a lot of communication.
It's a
Very
well-oiled
transparent.
machine for sure. Like
Oh
there's
yeah, it goes.
I mean, we're ahead right now by a couple of weeks. Um and I mean, we got the style down with the graphics, which wasn't apparent last season. I mean, I had still graphics that I made for the entire show, and that was it. That's what we used. Now we got proper thumbnails that we're rebranding the whole thing. We have the entire style down. I mean, Darek has his narrating style down. I have mine. Paige is like grinding out the scripts like crazy. We have JoJo, and like they got their whole thing down from previous work. It's interesting to see how we were in season 1, because season 1 was like the most chaotic and unsure like project I think I've ever done. Everything felt like, yeah, this is I'm okay. Okay, now it's going. Okay, we got this. Cool. No. All right, it's over now. I'm done. I'm gone. Okay, bye.
It was such a clusterfuck of stuff, but I mean that's just how learning curves are, because honestly, like I guess you don't really think how much different it is producing something when you're not like, when you do it yourself, it's so much easier because you only have yourself to rely on. And obviously, so if you can do something right, do it yourself. But like it's when you put yourself in the mind of like, I need to step back, I need to now mediate these people to do their task and all that stuff and keep everything on time. It was a lot harder than I expected it to be. And some things kind of definitely fell apart a couple of times, but I mean, we never gave up and we definitely figured it out. And I mean, granted, we somehow got all freaking 10 episodes out and we didn't miss one. So it happened. It happened somehow.
I love it. So,
Yeah.
speaking of the team, what was the process, not just on the dark side of gaming, but the dark side of YouTube, for picking the writers, the hosts, and like the topics and such? For like, what's your topic process, and what was the process for picking the teams for both shows?
Picking team members genuinely was probably the hardest and easiest process. Like it's hard to explain that because like it's super hard to like know what to look for in somebody.
You
but
didn't
at
have
the
an
same
idea for a
time,
voice or anything for the host?
honestly, no. That's why I kind of did the same thing I did with the Dark Side of Gaming at first and did like an open call and kind of was just like, if anybody's interested, and like hit up a bunch of people I knew. And eventually, I started really thinking critically. I was like, what do I want in a host? Like, I guess like something that I lacked, I felt like, was like the preparation of like what I wanted the show's voice to really be. And then like one day it just kind of clicked with me in the morning when I woke up. I was just like, I really want somebody who has a strong voice, who also has not just like a strong voice in the sense of their actual voice, but just like an online presence, not in the sense of like, oh, they have all this clout or anything, but like somebody who's just like active, knows what they're doing, is going to be like the forefront of this show, is going to be like a great representation. And I started scrolling on Twitter and I just saw Autumn pop up, and I was like, you know, Autumn would be great because I've talked to her a few times. We've talked about doing projects, and it just never came together. And you know, I was like, why not just throw this out there? You know, the worst that could happen is they say no, and they were into the idea, and you know, it just kind of came from there. But I don't know. I'm always looking for reliable, dedicated people. You know, it's just like I'm down to try anybody, and I have so many more ideas for shows that I hopefully, you know, I can try out some other people in the future for, and you know, see what we can do there. But I just the moment that I heard Autumn do her little tryout script, I was like, yeah, this is the voice.
I mean,
Like,
she's
this
fantastic.
is it. No, it was perfect. Like her, I'll tell you this, her demo script was so good that it's literally the intro of every episode now.
Oh, I thought that was like the thing someone wrote. So
Oh
that
no,
she.
that I mean, I wrote that. Yeah, I wrote that for everybody to read when they did their demo. I'm sure. I think Raven did one too, and I think he read the same
Mhm.
script if he remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote that like literally just like 20 minutes. I was like, "Eff it, let's see how it sounds." And everybody did great actually. Raven did great. Lucid Lupus did great. There was a lot of great submissions, but like I said, like I heard Autumn's voice and I was like, "Ooh!" It gave me goosebumps. You know what I mean? I was like, "Ooh!" Like I don't know. Like I've not gotten that in a long time, so I was like, I feel like this is the perfect fit for this project, and I think it really worked out.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think I think she's doing a great job. I'm excited to see where it goes. The topics, I've seen the list for like, I mean, you guys have no idea how prepared Swamp is for the rest of this show. Like he's like it the you could tell he's excited about it is what I'm saying. Is like the preparation he has for the dark side of YouTube, the future of it. It's secure. Don't worry about it. If you love it, then you're gonna have a lot more of it. But yeah. So, what about writers? Like, what was your process for finding a good writer?
Man, that's the hardest. That's the hardest part about finding anybody for this, and that was my biggest challenge last season was trying to keep writers around.
Yeah.
And JoJo was around for most of them, or Detective Romwell, author JoJo. They were around. They were our main writer for season 1, and they really helped us out a ton by being consistent. But we really had a hard time trying to keep it up. And especially after season 1 ended, it just took so long to try to find people that I could trust to kind of do this weekly thing. And I met Paige Turner probably about like 6 months ago, maybe more at this point, probably like a year, close to that. And started commissioning them to, do my typical Swamp Dweller exclusive stories and stuff. And one day I was like, I really want to start up this podcast again. And I asked them if they had any scripting experience, and they said they hadn't, but they'd be interested in trying. So I was like, let's go for it. And listening to the dark side of gaming and the dark side of YouTube, especially season 2 for the dark side of gaming, you would never know that this was somebody, especially the first episode, that never had scripted an episode of this type in their life before. Yeah. And they've just knocked it out of the park, and they've felt right at home, and I feel like it was just the perfect thing. And luckily I was able to kind of piece in some friends that I've made over the years in the writing community that, they're not the most, they can't like do a super consistent job, every single week for me, but they can do things here and there. So I have them piece in some episodes here and there to help Paige, cause she's running 2 shows, and we're ahead on both of those shows somehow. Paige is an actual
she's
like
a machine. Like she's a fucking machine. Like
actually
randomly, like the group chat would be dead, and all of a sudden, like 3 a.m, probably all you would just, I got the script done for this. Here you go. And it was like a day before is when we got the green light for the topic of it. It's fucking insane how she just pushes shit out, and like you read it and you're about to think like, it's probably gonna be like. It's a good script, but it's a great script. It's very easy to read. It's fun. It's engaging, and the facts like punch out of the fucking page. It's great. Like every time I read one of the scripts, it's always super easy. It's always my fault if I like stumble or fuck up. That's the best type of script to read, where it's if any time you have to stop recording, it's usually because of you. That's how you could tell the script is good. That it's like you fucking up. You're like, oh, I can't say this word right. It's not them. It's definitely you. So I mean, last season we had some issues with some of the scripts. Some of them felt too story-like instead of actual scripts. They felt like I was reading a short story, and I couldn't really gauge how to even talk. Like I'm supposed to be presenting facts, but I'm talking like I'm a 12-year-old kid who just found a cursed Zelda cartridge. But this time around, it feels a lot more like a show. Like the season 2 feels like a show. It feels like it's produced, and it feels professional. And Paige is like a huge part of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. If not for Paige, I don't think the shows would be what they are. I mean, honestly, Paige took the executive decision on her own to make the dark side of YouTube as long as it is, because it was supposed to be like the dark side of the dark side of gaming, where it's just like these 20-minute kind of bite-sized chunks, and she was like, "No, we're going deep, my friend."
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That's fine. And that's probably the better route anyway. So
Paige sent me a revised version of the episode I recorded because she said it was 1,000 words too short. So she wrote an extra 1,000. She's like, this one is this many words. The other one was this many. I think it's longer. It's more in depth. We're going to do this one. I'm like, oh, okay. And I didn't read the other one. I just took her word for it, and it's fantastic. The script was fantastic, and I had so much fun doing it.
That's all you can do, honestly. Sometimes to just take their word for it and, just kind of
I
go
mean,
with it.
she's
And
never steered
normally,
me wrong before. Like the last
that's what I'm
couple
saying.
episodes I did, like I mean, maybe one or two tidbits, but that's the thing is that Paige is coming from a medium she's coming into a medium she's never dealt with before. She hasn't been a scriptwriter before the show, so reading the script, it's actually crazy that there's only one or two mishaps in the entirety of any script she's ever written for us. That's insane for someone who's never actually written a fucking script before. So, I mean, the first script I got, I did have an issue or two with, but it was like an honest mistake. It was something like she was writing more in a first person perspective, like she was still writing a story. But the issue, the thing with that is that it makes sense. She's used to constantly just writing stories one after the other. Now she's writing a script. You can't just light switch that. So when I talked to her about it, she's super sweet. That's the why I love her being on this team is that she just instantly is just like, oh, of course, don't worry about it. I got it. Yeah, no, it's fine. I know, no, you're right. That's actually like really shit. I don't know why I did that. It's like she's super understanding and she immediately gets what you're talking about, like in 5 seconds, and immediately fixes it. It's crazy.
Like sometimes they're so nice. It's like, I wish you kind of would just tell me to fuck off. You know what I mean? It's like,
The day Paige tells us to fuck off is the day we lose Paige. Like,
yeah, honestly, I just don't think that's them. It's like change this. Fuck off, TDN. It's like that's the day. The show's over.
no, if Paige tells me to fuck off personally, I think I'm kicked off. Like I, like I think that's what happens. I think I get kicked off the show.
So you lost all seniority, bro.
Paige is more deep rooted in the show than I am. Like that's the she's a like the best team member we've had since the show started, and it's awesome to be able to rely on someone who holds the entire show together. I mean, without her scripts, like we have other writers, but those are literally there to pick up what Paige physically and mentally just can't handle out of the giant load she's already taking. So,
oh yeah, and she actually actively like complains that I do that. She's like, "Why are you giving away these stories?" I was like, "Because like honestly, like they're like
I'm
no
worried
normal
about you.
person needs exactly. It's like no normal person needs this much work, but they're just like I want to do it all, and like that's my favorite part about it is like I want to find more people like that love what we're doing, that want to keep that want to work on it, that want to jump on it, that want to keep progressing and hitting these new topics, and it's a lot of fun to have somebody like that around, and I think it's like a breath of fresh air, and it's like breathe new life into this entire project. So, but all the projects that I'm doing, and I can't wait to obviously further work on new shows with them, but see what we can do, what we're currently doing.
I've talked about this with you before, but I would love in the future, like whenever there is time or just a reason to do it. I've told you this like a couple of times. I want to do like a Dark Side of Hollywood so bad. Like there's so much shit to do, and it's like never ending. I mean, Hollywood's a shit place. Like there's always fucked up shit happening.
Yeah, it's never
So
ending.
even if I can't do it, like even if I can't host it, I wanna make the graphics for it. Like I just want to be a part of it somehow, because that's like, as much as I love gaming, I'm a movie buff at heart. So like that's where my heart would be 100%. Even if I just had to do the graphics for it, I wouldn't even care.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things I actually wrote down. There's so many ideas I want to do, but there's just like so many topics that we
Yeah,
could do. It's just so hard to pick like what's gonna be the one that like is
the thing
worth
you focus on.
putting all the time into. Yeah, for sure. I think that's probably gonna be the hardest thing. Like they obviously like finding writers, finding the team and everything, but I think like the hardest thing is the name of the show, and then obviously like the topics, because the topics can I feel like that's one of the hardest things sometimes when it comes to the show. It's just like, oh shoot, like which topic should I cover? Because there's so much to cover. So what's like gonna be the most interesting, but at the same time not, super covered by everybody and their grandma.
Yeah. Raven, you okay? You awfully quiet.
I'm good.
Okay, just making sure.
No, y'all are talking about this important stuff. I'm not gonna jump in and like.
I mean, if you had
ruin
anything
the
to add, I would
conversation.
hope you would add it. Is all I'm saying.
Do I ever have anything to add?
I mean, if you did,
I
is what
do. In this case, though, I'm not gonna ruin the conversation.
There's no. I know you. If you have something to say, you can say it. You're the host. Do you have anything?
Don't put me. Why are you putting me on the spot here, bro?
Because
No, I was just. This is a good conversation. I'm listening and absorbing information
okay,
more
I'm
than
just.
anything.
I
to be
just don't
honest
want
with
you to feel left out. That's all.
No.
Okay. I'll worry about my bird boy. That's all. Swamp's like, ew.
Okay.
This is
Swamp's
so-
like, what the fuck is wrong with these two?
So gross.
You can't argue on the podcast. That's bad podcasting.
We wouldn't
We
have
do
a
it in real
podcast.
time.
We would not have the podcast wouldn't exist. It was an argument just to make it happen. That's like,
See,
I
I
think
need
you'd
to
be good
produce-
for it. No, I wouldn't. Shut up, you're doing it. Fine, fuck off.
See,
That's pretty accurate.
podcast with two hosts like this, so then I just do a show like this, and it's just people yelling at each other the whole time.
I mean, I don't even get paid for it, so pay me and I'll do it.
Aggressive compliments the entire time. So like you guys are like physically angry, red in the face, just yelling at each other, but it's like the nicest shit ever.
That's
It's like-
literally us.
Yeah.
That would be perfect, and just find a ridiculous name for it and boom, slap it on Spotify.
So, question. How long were you cooking up the idea of like doing the dark side of gaming or just a podcast like that?
Probably like 3 years.
Wow.
It took a lot of preparation because like honestly, I'm not like, I guess I'm not a procrastinator, but I'm a sense of like I'm so busy with what I'm already doing and I'm undertaking so much all the time. Like I do all kinds of projects outside of YouTube that I never even mentioned just because like they're just things I do. So like I'm always like doing so many things. So when things finally slowed down and I was like actually able to like have a clear head and sit down and actually look at things, it was probably like 3 years after I had initially been like, yeah, I should do this. And then the actual like dark side of gaming thing just kind of poofed up randomly. But that's how most ideas of mine happen. I'll just be in the shower or doing something random and then this idea hits my head. I'm like, all right, I got to write that down and then expand upon it. Like my notes on my phone is like, and my laptop are like ridiculous. It's just like the amount of like every episode I have, like basically I try to make things as easy for everybody who's on my team as possible. So like for Paige, like I'll just like have like a whole doc of just like probably like 100 different links, 10 different documentaries, like just like so much information, like just going over and like notes upon notes and just all this crazy stuff. And pretty much with any writer that's doing, that kind of stuff with us is kind of bombarded by that from me. But I'm just trying to make it, as easy, in depth, all the information in one place, so then you don't have to waste all your time on the good old Google. But honestly, like the idea was there for a long time, but the actual execution and like process of it was a fairly quick one. I kind of just randomly jumped on the Twitter and was like, yo, let's do this thing.
So were you prepared for how like quick it just randomly started? Because I know it went from you tweeted out, I sent you my audition once you gave me the little like writing tidbit that you put out. And then I don't know, it was like a couple weeks, maybe a month, and then it was like we started. And we didn't prep any that was a big issue from season 1 is we didn't prep episodes. We just went straight into it. We just recorded an episode and then once it was ready to go, it went out. Which was something we're not doing now, and we're actually like backing up stuff so that we can just sit here and actually do other things. But like, were you prepared for how quick it went, like how it started?
Honestly, no.
Do you think we made a mistake
time,
for just like gung-hoing into it instead of just like prepping it all together?
Oh yeah, like I should have definitely been more tactful about how I went about it. But I'm also like a big believer in just trusting the process. Like personally, like, it doesn't really matter what it is, if it's like music, if it's just any form of art. I just believe in like organic growth and just kind of documenting
Yes.
that growth. So like, like with you and your like thumbnails, you can see over time where like eventually you got better and better, and that's documents that growth. And it's like same with like say music, like my first song wasn't that great, but over the years
Same.
the albums got better and better. So it's kind of just like the same thing here, like we started this process, we kind of ran into it was like Tropic Thunder style, just ran the fuck in there and just got blown the fuck up. But like, we came out, we lost a few toes, a few fingers, but we came out, and now we have PTSD of the past, and now we're running from the past, and that's why we're doing it better.
Pretty much. Yeah. Speaking of like
That's my analogy.
thumbnails, God, it's what, but 2.5 years, something like that, of just constant, just like a shit ton of thumbnails and promo stuff and project art, and like I've been working with you for like a long fucking time, and it's crazy to think about because I'll look at I think the last time I sent you the catalog, it was like 600 something. It's way more than that now, but it's easily up to like 1,000. But it's just crazy to look back at that, like especially the shit stuff I was sending you. Holy fuck. I looked at it. Me and Raven both looked at it. It's awful.
We did.
It's fucking awful. The shit I used to send you and that you are actually paying for. Holy hell. Like,
there are two things in my defense. One, I really sucked at thumbnails.
I
and
think what I was
anything-
sending you sometimes was worse.
I had some moments. I had some shiners in my turd of
Well, the
things,
thing I
but
always told you was that you had a style. So, like, it didn't matter if they
Yeah.
were, like, basic shit. It was, like, it's the same thing, like, with, I can't even really point out a YouTuber because any no-sleep narrator has the red and white text, so I can't really say that's a style that they do. But it's style. Like, you had the skinny font, small, red and white, with a grungy, dark background. I could tell it was you before I even looked at the title. And that's what's most important about a thumbnail, which I would have to learn very slowly over the next 2.5 years. Was trying to create a style for you, which was not what I was doing anytime in the past. I was just trying to give you a thumbnail that was legible sometimes. And sometimes, because there's shit that I don't even know how I send it to you confidently. I have a higher standard for thumbnails now than I did back then. But to be honest, like, you were the first person to commission me. There wasn't anybody else. There was no Let's Read. There wasn't Darkness Prevails, any of these people that I work with now. Like, nobody took my thumbnail idea advice into account like they do now. Like, that doesn't happen. That didn't happen back then. So I was trying to create a style for you. Well, I am trying to create a style for you, at least. I think we got it down. Big, bold,
I like it now.
blocky stuff.
I have always hated the process of making that. So when I could afford to have somebody else do it, I was like, please, somebody do this. Because I was like, I just hate this. This part sucks. And like, I never spent more than like 20, 30 minutes on it. So, because I just hated it that much. So I was just like, yeah, this is the last thing I'm going to do right before this video is uploaded. Let me just attempt to make it look like I didn't just, literally shit something out, which that was pretty much the case 100% of the time. But now we're not in that conundrum.
I think we have a good style now for you. I don't really know what it is, but I know what it is when I start making it. I guess that's the most important part, is that I know what you like and what you like to present yourself as, and what your color like preference is, and the pictures you like going for most, and the style of it, and the style of thumbnail, what you don't like. So I think that's what 2.5 years gives, is a shit ton of knowledge on what you don't like and you do like about thumbnails. So it makes it, that's your style. I don't know what the fuck your style is, but what I can say
is a color preference.
yeah, well, he did, when we back
Okay.
like a year
I'm
ago.
sitting here like I'm sending him shit that I make, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Well, back when like I think it was like a year ago, a year and a half ago, Swamp sent me a message. He was like, "Okay, there's certain colors that seem to do better on thumbnails. Can you just do those?" And I was for a while, but then I was like, "But this one looks so cool," and you're like, "It does." Ah. Because
Yeah, I was like,
Okay.
fuck it.
if I limit myself to color, then I'm limiting myself creatively, and then there's just shit that I can't. There was shit I'll never make because I'm limited on color. So it's not like I thoughtfully disregarded it, but I eventually just stopped and I just kept going with other stuff, and I think it's worked out. I mean, there's shit now I can make that is blue or is purple, but which necessarily didn't work, but I can now make it work as good, if not better, than red or orange or whatever, because I am better at making them.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, I'm not super picky either, so I probably
you're the
forgot.
easiest client I got.
Anyway. Honestly, I probably just forgot that I even told you that. So
You were
I
adamant
mean, I
on it
remember
for like a
now.
week. That was it.
That sounds like me. I'm probably like about a week, and then I'm like forward thinking. I'm like, I don't care anymore. It's like I just want the thumbnail to be done. To be honest.
What's your perspective on working with Swamp Raven?
He's impossible to work with.
I concur.
I'm joking. I've literally sent him one thumbnail where he said that, could you redo this part? And I did, and that's it. I think he's pretty much accepted everything I've ever sent. Him and Bad Vibes are both the easiest people to work with, I swear.
Bad Vibes better. I basically told Bad Vibes if he ever complains and Raven lets me know, I will break every single toe
Oh, jeez. Every toe?
on his left foot.
Okay, fair enough.
And he has 2.
Yeah, you don't. He is too.
He has 2 left feet?
No, he has 3
Yes.
feet. 2 of them are left.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Ravens made me so many freaking second channel thumbnails that I have probably more of those now than I do main channel thumbnails, and I need to really start using those. Like every time I open that folder, I'm like, oh yeah, I have all these, don't I?
That's the funny part. I think what I messaged you about it, like, or I don't remember where I said it, but I was like, oh, it was in the Discord. I was like, holy shit, you just used that? I had made this thumbnail like 3 months ago, and he just used them. They just used it. I'm like, Jesus Christ! It's so long ago that my style is different. Like it looks different from what I make now.
The unexplained one was pretty funny. I just it was this there, and then cause I had sometimes I just forget that I have the same topic like month to month, and then they kind of just stack up. So I had like 3 of them, and I just used the ones that looked coolest first. And then this one kind of just ended up being there. And I was like, oh, I guess this is us. So I was like, we're going with the white mask. Let's go. I have some in here that have been here for a minute that I'm looking at. I have this Argentina one that I had Raven do like literally 6 months ago. And I still need to do
Made
that.
you an Argentina thumbnail? I don't even remember that.
And a Japan one.
I remember the Japan one.
Minute. And then I have this Ouija board one from TDN that's probably been here for...
I don't even remember the last... Dude, it's probably so old that it's on my old hard drive. I don't even have it on this computer.
Yeah, check. Is there a timestamp that I can see?
Let me see. I'll check.
If you right-click properties, you could probably do file created.
5/11.
Oh, it's not that long ago. I have it here.
3 months?
It's like three months ago.
Yeah, I have it here. It's the black and white one.
So it takes me time to get to them sometimes.
I mean,
I get that.
There's definitely some in here I know you've never used. I'm looking at them. But that's fine. It's cool.
I'm getting to them. They're there.
They're there.
I mean, they're gonna get you.
I mean, I got paid for it and I did it. That's it. That's all that counts. You paid me. I did it.
Sometimes some topics I just feel like I have better stories for it than I do.
Yeah.
Like the Superstitions Mountains one here, I don't even remember who made this for me. This might have been Robin. That's how old this freaking thing
Yeah,
is,
that's not me.
actually. Like this thing, like I have 2 stories for it, and I've just not received anything. And I've been like, it's like the last mountain range I had to do, and I'm just like, shoot, well, I guess it's gonna be like an 8-minute video. It's like, I guess we're screwed, boys.
So
I've even like tried to go like the Reddit route and look for stories, and I can't find any. So I'm like, fuck.
So me and you were trying a new thing. I don't know how many people are currently doing this, but we're mixing AI art with our thumbnails. I actually just recently did one for Vidith, and it came out. I showed Raven. I can actually post it in the chat here in a second if I have it. Here it is. But like we were just talking about this on the last podcast we did, and it's crazy that literally the next podcast we do, we're already starting to use it. Like it's putting it together is like I wouldn't necessarily do it like how me and Swamp have just started doing it, where we're just taking the AI art and just kind of making a thumbnail out of it, like just putting text and stuff and trying to make it like manipulating a little bit. But with the one I did with Vidith, I took what it gave me and then I photoshopped a person in it, which is I think is what should be done. Like putting lighting effects and all that stuff. But the stuff that Swamp is getting out of these descriptions is fucking awesome. Some the thumbnails that we're going to be doing with those, unlike any other cryptid or skinwalker thumbnail I've ever made, because we actually have like proper creepy looking shit that makes no sense.
Oh yeah, dude, this thing is dope. I'm so excited that I freaking asked about this when I saw everybody talking about it. I was like, what the hell is this thing? And now I'm just like taking descriptions from like stories people are sending, and I'm just like typing them into this and seeing what happens. And we've gotten some like kind of insane freaking things.
The cryptid
like the
one is
for
fucking dope.
Dude, I'm stoked about that one. I can't wait for that episode to come out.
That one's fucking awesome. But yeah, like we were just talking about like AI art and thumbnails and such, but I was never thinking about like taking the art and then just like actually like manipulating it with like Photoshop elements, like putting something in it, just using it as like a background, because that's like that opens up a whole new thing. There's no more of like looking around a fucking stock image website hoping that you find that specific thing to try to use for your thumbnail. Like, you don't have to use just the art. Like, just take the art and put a text over it. Like, do what that thumbnail shows and actually, like, put people in it and put elements in it to make it your own. I mean, you can still take it. You can still take the art and just do whatever. It's nobody's art. It's literally generated. It's nobody's art. It's yours, technically. So, you have more connection to that art than anybody else.
Yeah, I've gotten some crazy like scenery shots just from that too. You could just like, it's so weird. Like you could type in something so basic like scary swamp and it'll give you like these like insane like looking things. I don't even know how to explain them. They're like otherworldly. I typed in swamp dweller and I got all these images that I sent in the chat there.
It's pretty sick.
It's like, oh, this is me. All right.
This is me.
Oh yeah.
Like this you?
Following like when you actually put your thing in and then trying to find it as it jumps down the rest of the fucking line.
Hella funny. I need to get I have it to where like I can like put it in my own server, but I'm too technically inefficient to figure out how to do it.
Christian might know how. He'd probably know how. I don't know. Maybe not. What does Christian know? Fuck him.
Smooth.
My brain smooth.
Not a lot of wrinkles going on up there when it comes to tech.
I have 2 wrinkles.
I'm working on a 3rd.
Yeah. And there's one thing in each wrinkle. So,
The only thing TDN know is Photoshop.
before we close this out, You have any other projects outside of the shows that you that are going on or you're working on that you want to talk about?
I've got a ton of ideas swirling up in my head. Obviously, I want to try to continue to expand the dark side pods and stuff, and try to come up with more ideas. I know I've talked with you about like other shows I'm like thinking about putting into production, but like I said, like I don't know how many I can personally do by myself because I'm already feel like
Yeah.
juggling the two plus my own is crazy. So that's why like I'm looking into like expanding the business as a whole, like adding more people to take over certain roles to where I might not have to be so hands on. But at the same time, that's going to be very hard because, you know, everybody's used to me and not everybody's going to be me. So it's going to be really hard to try to find somebody that's a good medium that's not going to, you know, come in here and Hitler everything up.
Yeah.
But I want to do like an unsolved mysteries series. Like I'm a big fan of that. I actually want to do something where I'm a host again. You know, I want to try to host one of these shows. But on top of that, I definitely, you know, Dark Side of Hollywood would be really cool. Freaking, you know, there's Dark Side of we could even do like the dark side of like true crime, and like people would be like, what do you mean? But like we could do like the dark side of like the police investigations and all that, because there's so many times where like the you know, local police officers and police force, they're not really doing the job they should be doing, and there's so many cases like that. I mean, I just have so many ideas, but it's just mainly trying to figure out how to present them and put them out there. But yeah, they're never ending.
All right. Well, before we go, the reason that we're cutting it so short is Swamp does have to do something after this, so we're gonna make sure he can get to that. Um, but we would love to have you back on because it's always fun to have you
Obviously.
here. So maybe next time we can actually get you for a little bit longer because it's just so fun talking to you. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
but so I don't want to get sappy or anything. But I just, I just wanted to put this out there for everybody to hear that this is how I feel. I just want to thank you publicly for all the things that you've done for me over the years. I never got to really say it vocally, and I might have said it last time you were on the podcast, like the previous stuff. But since then, a lot has changed, and I can currently sustain myself off of the things that you put into motion for me. Like, I don't necessarily like live off of just of what you give me, but what you put into place is the reason I can. The connections you gave me, the shouting me out to Let's Read, to even give me that opportunity, the people who now hold me in the highest regard for thumbnails and graphic design didn't exist for me even a year ago. But because you took a chance on me, and you took a chance on me doing thumbnails for you and other people, I can now call this my full-time job. I don't have to break my back at a warehouse or a retail job anymore. Before it was a lot different. I was still working a normal job the last time we talked about this, but now I am a host of a produced show, something I dreamt of since I was 15. I'm doing that now. I'm using my creative side of me to pay my bills and put food on the table. It's something I never thought. That's something I have been working towards since 11 years ago is when I started all this. And now I can finally do it. And because of you, I can do that. So I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've given me publicly so that everybody can hear it.
I'm happy, dude, and you know, thank you, man. I mean, honestly, your work, you deserve everything you get, and that's not really, you know, I might have been the platform to initially jump up, but that's all your work, man. You know, I can't take credit for anything that you've
No,
done.
I know that. It's like the principle though. The people you have already been connected to is who you showed me them, or you showed them who I am, and you vouched for me, which is enough in this industry is enough to get you something. It's enough to get you that spotlight to show, yeah, I had the talent, but you gave them the information so they can shine a spotlight on me and actually give me a chance to show everybody what I've been working on for so long.
Well, it's all deserved, brother, and I just did what I hoped anybody else would do. You know, like, hey, if people are looking for thumbnails and I know somebody who's making them, you know, I'm obviously throw them out there. I know there's a lot of people out there that are weird about that kind of stuff. You know, they want to try to hide secrets, or like, this is my guy, you can't use him or whatever. But I'm really not that. I'm all about seeing, you know, my friends win. You know, if I'm winning, I want to see them winning. Obviously, I don't want to be the only one at the top. It'll be lonely. And I believe, you know, rising tides, you know, lift all ships, and, you know, teamwork makes the dream work. And it's a lot more fun when you have friends. So, you know, I'd rather see everybody, you know, get a chance. So I'm very happy it's working out, man. And I hope it continues to grow. I can't wait to see where the dark side of gaming goes and anything in the future. And again, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. You guys should be having Autumn on here soon, I believe, right?
Yes, actually, that's a perfect segue. So next week at the exact same time, we are having Autumn Ivy on the show, who is the new host of our new sister show, The Dark Side of YouTube. That is happening next week, August 16th, I believe. I think that's what the exact date is. Let me check
Yeah,
here.
that'd be a week from now.
Yeah, that'd be a week from now. So August 16th, 7 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. CST, we're having Autumn Ivy on the show. Do not miss that, because it's going to be a fun stream, a fun podcast. Swamp, thank you so much again for showing up on the show. We love having you. Please come back, because we love talking to you about all things. I mean, you just know so much shit, and you're just really fun to talk to and very knowledgeable. So thank you for coming by. Thank you to everybody sitting in the chat right now, chatting away, listening to our babble. We will see you guys next week for the dark. I almost said the Dark Side of Gaming, the TheDarkNest podcast, hosted by myself and As the Raven Dreams. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week for another podcast.